Sunday morning on CBS. And here again is Harry Smith.
The 1964 movie A Hard Day's Night is a classic of its time, remembered for many things, but it's a little-known cameo appearance in that film that's the subject of Anthony Mason's Sunday profile of model Pattie Boyd. She's muse to not one, but two of rock music's greatest talents.
Pattie Boyd was a swinging 60s model when something in the way she moved attracted a Beatle who wrote a song about her. So did a guitar god who became obsessed with her. She is the real Layla. The muse in the middle of rock's most famous love triangle.
The whole episode is incredibly painful.
But now, for the first time, the ex-wife of two music icons is talking.
And I say yes, you look wonderful tonight.
In Wonderful Tonight, yes, that song was written about her too. Pattie is finally adding her own lyrics to her story. The daughter of a British Air Force pilot, Pattie Boyd was a 20-year-old model in 1964 when her agent told her to report to London's Paddington Station to play a bit part in a film. The film was A Hard Day's Night, starring four lads from Liverpool who just hit the world of pop culture like a hurricane. When you look back on it now, your life changed right here.
Radically.
Pattie, who played a schoolgirl on a train, said just one word in the movie.
Prisoners? Convict in transit.
That was it. But she caught the eye of George Harrison, who made sure he sat beside her at lunch.
And I thought he was really pretty gorgeous.
I asked Pattie out when we were making the film, and she said no, which was very embarrassing at the time.
You kissed him off.
Sort of like that, yes.
Out of loyalty to a boyfriend, she told George she already had a date.
My one girlfriend said, "Are you completely mad? Dump the boyfriend immediately."
So you did.
So I did.
George and Pattie became one of Mod London's most glamorous couples. He, the shy Beatle, she, the striking cover girl. When they married in 1966, Pattie writes, "I was so happy, I thought I might burst."
Are you going to stay out of the limelight?
Yes.
It was Pattie who introduced George to meditation, which led the Beatles to India in 1968. Pattie recently found her pictures of the trip.
This is the most beautiful shot of George. This, I think, was the last time that George was totally relaxed and calm and...
But after India, Boyd writes, our lives and our relationship seemed to fall apart. With the sudden death of their manager, Brian Epstein, the Beatles had to become businessmen.
And there was an awful lot of tension within the band. And I think what was happening is that George was bringing that home.
That just put stress on everything.
It definitely put stress on our relationship.
After midnight, we don't let it all hang down.
George, meanwhile, had become close friends with another musician. And Eric Clapton began showing up at the Harrison home frequently.
And when did you sense that he was attracted to you?
Almost from the beginning. But not that I was going to do anything about it.
George himself had started to become openly flirtatious with other women.
Did you consider it something you just have to put up with?
Yes, I did.
His spirituality was also making him increasingly remote.
He'd have a bag around his neck with beads in it and he'd keep chanting Hare Krishna. And it's very difficult. I don't know if you've tried it, to talk to somebody while they're chanting.
And you didn't want to be chanting too?
No, I wanted to talk to him. It's very frustrating.
But Clapton showed her the attention Harrison wouldn't. He wooed her obsessively, one day inviting her to his band's London apartment.
So what did he say to you? I want to play you something?
Yeah, I've got something for you to hear. And it was the most incredible song. He played Layla.
A song about a man obsessed with an unavailable woman. There was no mistaking. Layla was Pattie.
Please don't say I'll never find again. Tell me who my love's anyway.
It's a pretty enticing song, you know. It's deeply seductive. He sings it, it's so heartfelt. Bowled me over.
It bowled you over.
Later that evening at a party, it all came out when George discovered Pattie and Eric talking.
And Eric said, I have to tell you something. I'm in love with your wife. And I thought, oh no. I just wanted the ground to open up. This is not a situation I was happy to be in. Anyway, George was furious and said, well, you know, go off with him if you want. And I said, no, I'm coming home with you.
Pattie would stay in the marriage for 3 more years.
What was the final straw with you, with George?
He was hiding, but clearly, as far as I was concerned, having an affair with a friend.
In the first draft of her manuscript, Pattie discreetly chose not to mention the name of the woman, who she described as the wife of one of our closest friends. But as she was finalizing the book, she called Ringo Starr to ask his advice and consent, because she now acknowledges the woman George slept with was Maureen Starr, Ringo's wife. She was the last person I would have expected to stab me in the back, Pattie writes, but she did. The marriage was over.
I felt that there was no room for me in this ludicrous situation we'd all found ourselves in. Everyone behaving badly. Really, it was a mess.
So in 1974, she left George and moved in with Eric. Remarkably, when they were married 3 years later, George attended the wedding party. Clapton wrote another hit song about his new wife.
And I say yes, you look wonderful tonight.
But their marriage was anything but wonderful. Clapton began drinking heavily, 2 bottles of brandy a day.
And what was he like to live with then?
Oh, ghastly, really ghastly.
Then Pattie, who'd tried unsuccessfully to have children, learned Eric was about to have a baby by another woman.
How did you find out?
He took me to dinner. I just felt as if I was just being stabbed in the heart.
Clapton even asked Pattie to help raise the boy, Connor, who would later die in a tragic fall. It was a concession Pattie couldn't bring herself to make.
If I were to accept it, I would be destroying myself, and I would therefore have to leave.
So at 43, she was suddenly alone, and only realized how lost she was when she contacted an old friend.
And I said, oh, Amanda, hi. It's Pattie. I used to be Pattie Boyd. And she said, you still are? I said, oh. I was still, I suppose, connected with the idea of, well, if I'm not Mrs. Eric, who the hell am I? I'd lost my identity.
In time, she found it again.
This is a very old friend.
Through her love of photography, Pattie'd always taken snapshots.
That's just a mad one of George, making a silly face.
I love that.
Now she began to take pictures more seriously. And the model who'd started her career in front of the camera became an accomplished professional behind it. Later this week, an exhibition of her work will open at the Morrison Hotel Gallery in New York. Pattie made peace with George years ago, and when he died in 2001, I felt completely bereft, she writes. I couldn't bear the thought of a world without him. And a now sober Clapton remains a friend.
When you hear Layla now...
Yeah, I still love it.
You still love it?
Love it. I think it's masterful.
And it doesn't...
No. It doesn't hurt. I'm beyond that. But I know it was for me.
And that's pretty cool.
I like that.
Bye now. Thank you so much. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Are these the happiest workers in America? Find out next Sunday morning.